Good morning, I'm Laura from the Dog Owner Training School. It's a beautiful sunny day down in here in Kent. It's a little bit windy, so I've actually set up the external microphone, so hopefully the sound is all right. So I've got the microphone hidden just down in my jumper to keep it out the wind, so I'm hoping the sound will be all right on this. I don't think I can see comments. It's a bit difficult to see comments. I'm still new to doing lives. But as I say, if there's problems with the sound, if you can let me know if I can see anything. But anyway, so today we're discussing different types of walking equipment. Now, it's a big topic that comes up, and I often see it in the Facebook groups. So to help me get through this topic, I'd like to introduce you to my little friend Dale. This is Dale. And Dale's been with me a long time. He came when I used to run a dog daycare centre, which is how he got his name. And he has helped many dogs through reactivity issues and done lots of demonstrations and all sorts of things. So Dale's great. Dale's very pleased to be coming out the cupboard to help me this morning. So the first thing that's important for every dog is a collar. Because although we're not actually going to use it to attach the lead to, you need to have a collar to have your dog's ID tag on. Now, it's a legal requirement in the UK that your dog has a collar on with a tag which has your surname, your address. A phone number is actually optional, although of course I'd always have it on there because it's the quickest way of getting your dog back to you. So it's really important that every dog has a collar with that information on it. And that's required even if your dog is microchipped. They're still required to have an ID tag by law. So now the next thing is where we're going to attach the lead to. So of course we could attach it to the collar, but the problem is the dog's neck is actually pretty much the same as ours. So imagine someone attaching a collar to your neck and then pulling you around with it, or if you were pulling up against it, you've got all sorts of really vital blood vessels and all sorts of organs and stuff passing through your neck. So it's really important that you don't put that pressure on their neck. So what I like to use is a harness. But before we discuss harnesses, I'd first of all like to talk to you a bit about head collars. So there's lots of different brands out there. This is just one example. But the idea is it's something that goes round your dog's head. So let me put this one on Dale. And it's a way of controlling your dog's head, and a lot of people use them as an anti-pull device. Now this one attaches underneath, but you do get them sometimes attach the lead behind the ears or to the sides. There's different ways of doing it. Now I'm not a big fan of head collars, and the reason for this is if your dog is walking along, sniffing along, and I've got the lead attached here, it's very easy for me to suddenly pull them. Not deliberately, but you know what it's like when you're walking along, the lead sometimes goes tight and you're not necessarily the most gentle with the lead, which is why it's so easy for them to accidentally have their head yanked to either side. Or if they go off to sniff something, again, the lead suddenly goes tight, so you've got the potential again to do damage to their neck. Also, most dogs hate head collars. As I say, it's taking complete control over their head, and of course dogs sniff, and sniffing is really important for dogs. So, I mean, years ago I heard people say, well, you control a big horse with a head collar, so why not a dog? But of course, horses don't sniff, dogs do. So I'm not a fan of head collars. However, I will occasionally use them on a really strong dog just to give the owner a bit more control. But I will do it very carefully, and normally I use it in conjunction with a harness, and it's just for that emergency stop, that control when you need it, because you can't risk an owner getting pulled into the road. So it's just for emergencies, and we try and get rid of it as soon as possible and go back to the training. So I say I'm not a big fan of them, and certainly not as a kind of go-to anti-pull device. So let's take that one off Dale. Now, what I like to use is a harness, a body harness. Now, we have to attach the lead somewhere on a dog, and what I find is a body harness is the most comfortable for a lot of dogs. Now, there's lots of different types of body harness out there, and again, the harness that I'm using is not an anti-pull device. So I do not expect to put a harness on a dog and then instantly stop pulling. That is where the training comes in. So although people say yes, huskies do pull in harnesses, also my dogs walk beautifully in them as well, and that is because of the training. The harness isn't doing it, the harness is just purely somewhere to attach the lead. But the reason why I like using that harness is it's a safe way of attaching the lead, which is least discomfort to your dog. Because, as we said, their neck is very fragile. What we want is a harness that's going to fit and not interfere with their movement. So you get harnesses that look like this one. Now this one obviously is miles too big for Dale, but I just wanted to bring it out as an example. And this one has a bar that goes across the front. So it would sit a bit like this on Dale. Obviously, as I say, this one is massive. And the reason why I'm not particularly keen on these harnesses is, as Dale would move his legs, they'd bump into that front run. So it's a bit like you walking along, swinging your arms, but actually having a bar across your shoulders. So again, it does restrict their movement because it restricts the amount of time they can move their legs forward. So these type of harnesses aren't ideal because, as I say, they restrict that dog's movement, and again, you've got potential for damage across here long term. So ideally what you want is a harness that fits down the middle of your dog's chest. So their dog can move their shoulders freely, and it doesn't interfere with that. Now, for that purpose, I like something called a perfect fit harnesses. There are other brands out there that do the same thing, but they go round your dog's neck and they sit down the middle of your dog's chest. So they can still freely move their shoulders, and you haven't got them restricting that shoulder movement, because the bit that goes round the top is sitting above the shoulders, and then you've got it sitting on there. Again, this example is miles too big for Dale. This is one of my dog's harnesses, so it's not sitting properly. Obviously you want them to be perfectly fitted for your dog, but it gives you the idea of what I'm trying to describe. Now these harnesses also have a ring on the front and a ring on the back. Again, normally it's this a lot further up. Now, as part of my training program, which is covered in the 21 Days to Loose Lead Dreams, this camera's rocking around a bit, it's a bit windy here, we use these two different points of connection to teach your dogs to walk in two different places. So, when the lead is clipped onto the front of the dog's harness, I train my dogs, I want them to walk by my side. They've got to kind of pay lots of attention to me. And the idea is if we're walking through a busy town or down a road, they're going to be here nice and close, paying attention. Now this type of lead work I call training mode, and it's not something that I get my dogs to do every single walk, it's just for those times when I need them close. Now the other type of lead work, which I call leisure mode, is where we use that back clip on the harness, and for this we attach the lead here, and the idea is they can mooch about in front, so they can have a bit of a sniff, but still they've got to keep that lead loose. So there's still training involved. It doesn't take long for them to get the hang of leisure mode. And normally, as I say, the 21-day plan that I've got on my website, within the first week, you'll have conquered leisure mode. But it gives them the freedom to sniff, because as I've said before, sniffing is so important to dogs. So it's really, really important that we don't stop them sniffing. So this gives them some freedom. They can enjoy their walk like we do, but they're not pulling on the lead, they're not yanking you around. So that is really important. So that's harnesses. We've talked a bit about head collars, and we've talked about collars. Now the next thing I want to cover is leads. Again, there's lots of different types of lead out there. You get the Flexi Lead. Now I haven't got one to demonstrate with, but they're the type that you've got a little plastic case with a lead that comes in and out. Now the problem with those is you've got pressure on that lead all the time, because that's how they work. So when your dog pulls forward, the Flexi Lead comes out and the lead gets longer and longer. So it's a way of actually teaching your dog to pull on the lead. Now there is purpose, and there will be times that I will use them, so it's not a definite no-no. But for teaching loose lead walking, I would not recommend a Flexi Lead, because part of the training that we do is all about pressure on the lead. And I want the dogs to know, even a great big dog, the difference between a tight lead and a loose lead, when the clip is kind of either pulling out like that versus the clip just hanging loosely. So a Flexi Lead is not a good idea. Now you can also get leads with kind of bungee cord bits in them, which is supposed to help protect your shoulder. But again, I'm not a big fan because I think you haven't got as much control in them. So I like just a normal lead. Now ideally, I like a lead like this. This is what one of my dogs leads. And it has a clip on each end. So it's one lead with a clip on each end. Now what we do with these, you see, is when he's wearing his front ring harness, for that leisure mode I was talking about, I can clip the lead onto the back. He can be pottering along on a nice loose lead, and I've got a nice bit of length there, so it gives him a bit of freedom. Now when I want him to walk nice and close to me, I can clip the other end of the lead onto the front. So I've still got that control on the back as well, so I've got a double lead. I can shorten the lead and get him walking by my side. Again, all of that is covered in training. All of that is covered in my 21-day to Loose Lead Dreams training plan. So you can see there how the two different clips work. Also, these leads are fantastic because they've got little rings going down them, if you can see that there. So if I'm walking along and I need to, I don't know, one of the kids has fallen over or something's happened, I can easily just loop my dog round somewhere, tie them up temporarily. Obviously, I'd never leave them tied unattended, but it means I can just tie them up somewhere if I need to, stand close by and deal with something if I need to. Also, it's very easy to change the length of the lead. So depending on where I am, I can make it shorter or longer, but it's still a nice fixed lead. So this is called a double-ended lead, or a training lead. Lots of different varieties out there. Holty do one, available in lots of different places. So yes, that's what I recommend. Now the final piece of kit you're going to need for your loose lead walking is one of these. This is a treats bag. Now this one comes out walking with me every time I take my dogs out. So in the main compartment I've got my treats, and I've got a variety of different bits and pieces in there. I do have just some normal doggy kibble in there, but that's my treats. I also have my whistle for my recall, that lives in my treat bag. And of course I've got those most important poo bags in the front pocket. So this one attaches around my waist. And I take this out with me every single time I go dog walking. So the idea is it's sitting on my waist, and any time I want to reward my dogs, the treats are there readily available. I'm not rummaging around in my pocket trying to get a crinkly bag out. This one's actually got a magnetic closure on it, so I can just stick my hand in and it will just kind of shut itself. But again, there's lots of different brands of treat bag out there, so it's whatever suits you. But I find treat bags, I take it out with me all the time. It's got everything I need. It hangs up with my dog leads. So as we go out for a walk, dogs have their harnesses and leads on. I wear my treat bag. So it's all there ready. Right, well, so hopefully that's given you a little bit of insight into the equipment that I use. For me, the equipment is not to stop your dog pulling. That is where the training comes in. And as I say, we can stop that fairly quickly on the 21-day programme. But it's all about having somewhere that you can attach the lead to that's not going to do any damage to your dog and is comfortable for them. So that's why we choose that harness which sits down the middle, doesn't interfere with their shoulder movement, not affecting their delicate neck, it's not on their head, which I say a lot of dogs hate. It's just the most comfortable place to attach the harness. Sorry, attach the lead. In an ideal world, you probably wouldn't attach the lead at all, but of course that would have major safety issues. So you have to attach it somewhere, so you want to do it where it's going to cause least inconvenience to your dog. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask them below this video, and I will keep an eye on it throughout the day. And answer any of your questions there. Also feel free to send me a message, either private message on Facebook, or you can email me, dogownertrainingschool@gmail.com. Don't forget, we also have our new free mini course, which will kind of go through some of the points I've talked about today and cover some other things as well. It's a great way of introduction to kind of online training and the way that we train at the Dog Owner Training School. You'll see my face in all the videos, and you will see the kind of way that we go with the lead work, and that then leads nicely to the 21-day plan program that we've got. So have a look. I'm going to finish now before this tripod falls over because I can see it swaying in the wind. Hopefully the sound's been all right throughout this video, and I'll say if you have any questions, please let me know. I look forward to seeing you again next Tuesday at 10 for another live. Let me know if you have any topic in particular you'd like me to discuss. I'll put a thread up there as well. Or any questions you want me to answer then. Anyway, see you then. Have a good week.